Hello, so I've done over 50 audits this year for websites in terms of improving conversion and getting more sales out of websites, and I see pretty much the same 5 mistakes over and over and over and over again across almost every sector, every niche, and basically business owners are making the same 5 mistakes over and over again, and it's massively impacting how many sales they get from their website. So what I thought I would do is use my most recent brand audit as a general case study, and obviously I'll go through some specific stuff for this particular audit for damn good security, but I'm going to try and keep it general so that these tips can be applied to almost any business in any niche to get more sales out of your site. So the first top number 1 problem I would say is probably the hero section. The hero section is pretty much the biggest wasted opportunity I ever see on a website. The hero section is where users land, it's what they first see, and it nearly always takes up the whole screen, and a lot of people waste this opportunity because this is your best opportunity to sell and convert people. Obviously people online have a very short attention span. You've got about 3 seconds to make a good impression and for them to understand what you do and how it can help them. Quite often business owners miss this opportunity by either being kind of too flowery, which I would say, Scott, you're probably making this mistake here. It's nice copy, we are damn good security and you're awesome. That's nice, but how does that benefit the customer? How does it help them understand what you do, and how does it help them understand how what you do is going to help them? The second mistake that people make is basically telling people what they do. So this is another example for probity web marketing, where they're basically telling people, well, we do website design, great, but so fucking what? That web design going to help that person grow? So although the copy is great, what you would normally want to have in your hero section as good matter of practice is some kind of clear statement that tells people who you're targeting, how you help them, how that help is going to help them grow, and ideally what form that service or product is going to take. And when it comes to this, obvious and clear beats flowery every time. Quite often in the hero section you see quite flowery language or really creative, snappy, fun statements, which is great. You can put that stuff on your website, but not in the hero section. The hero section should typically be straight to the point, tell people within 3 seconds how you're going to help them. Here I'm going to refer you to an article on my website. This is one of the most popular articles on my website. It's basically about building an offer. So it's about how to package your services into a profitable offer. And you'll see here there's kind of basically a full article about how to form the offer statement on your website. If you pop your email into the box at the bottom to subscribe, you'll also get a template and a workshop on crafting that offer to give you a sneak peek of that. In terms of your offer, really what you should be telling people is how you help them, not what you do. So instead of saying, you're a mortgage broker with 15 years experience, so what? How does that help them? Tell them you're doing stress-free mortgage applications. That's really the key. Instead of saying you're a double glazing fitting across the UK, so what? Well, you could save 10% on your heating bills. That's really the key. Professional friendly experienced designers, so what? What's the point of experience? Well, it's going to help you stand out from your competitors. See here we're highlighting the value that we offer to them. In terms of a general formula, there's also a little bit in the workshop about how to build that offer statement using a formula of who, why, what, how, and have. So just to give you a practical example of that on this particular website, I'm not saying this is the offer for you. This is just me quickly making this up off the top of my head. You would need to obviously run through the workshop and come up with the correct answer. But you could be saying something like, we help medium business enterprises to stop cyber threats before they even happen. So there you've got you're calling out exactly who you're working with. You're calling out what you do, which is cybersecurity, obviously, and you're calling out the main value, stop threats before they even happen. So again, to do this, you would need to have a very clear idea of who your ideal customer is. Now, in terms of the offer on your website, that's not to say that you're not going to work with small businesses, or you're not going to work with tech startups, or you're not going to work with solopreneurs, or whatever it is. But on your website, in terms of your marketing and your sales pitch, you want to be calling out who your ideal customer is. So that's, again, you're going to catch other people that fall out with your ideal customer, but generally in terms of your marketing, you want to be speaking to one particular business. Because if you imagine the way that you talk to a medium business enterprise will be very different than the way you would speak to a third sector charity organisation or a solopreneur, for example. You're going to use different language, you're going to use different jargon, you're going to use different levels of technical expertise. So that's why it's super important to know who your ideal customer is and to speak to that person particularly. And that should really be called out in the hero section of your website. That is your ideal opportunity to do that. So check out the article, open the workshop if you want. I think that will help you narrow down your ideal audience and come up with an offer, which you can then use in the hero statement of your website and also in your LinkedIn or any other social profiles. So I'm just going to refresh that. So that brings me to mistake number 2, which I would say personalization and trust. So, you've got a background image with a hello neon sign. Again, that's very nice, but so what? How does that help you sell? Really, in terms of this, you should probably be putting a picture of your team or your office or something that represents cybersecurity. Obviously, don't use a crappy stock image, that's not going to help anyone, but use something which represents the service. People interpret things visually, so the more you can quickly show an image of what it is you do and how it helps, that's better. You might want to, normally people expect to take action on the right hand side of a website. In the West, in the UK, we read left to right. So generally what you want to do is have your action button on the right with your text here, and then have some kind of image that represents your service on the left, like so. And I would probably recommend some kind of face of the business. So the mistake that a lot of business owners make, especially when they're a larger business, is that they basically think they have to be professional, by which they mean corporate. Now, you can be a large business, but at the end of the day, people buy from people, so be the face of the business yourself, or if you are self-conscious or very ugly, you might want to pick one of your employees who's good looking to be the face of the business. It's an example of how that works. As an example, on my own site, obviously, we're an agency, I have a team, but you'll notice that my face is very much on there on the homepage, because at the end of the day, people want to speak to me, they want to see my face. That's how you build trust and authority. You have built a huge amount of authority in this niche. I know that because I can see it in your community and your media pages. You've been on TV. You have a large following of authority that you've built up over years and decades. Get your face on there, because that's the thing that people trust. They know you and you're the authority in this sector. That's number 2, be the face of the business, get your face on the website. Number 3 would be, again, on trust, following on from that theme, testimonials, social trust, accreditations. All of this helps build trust on your website. And at the moment, I would say this particular example, you're probably missing that. So I would say the copy is very good. I really like some of the phrases. It's got a lot of personality in there. But missing here is testimonials from your customers or clients or previous clients that you've worked with. Now, obviously, a lot of people are starting a new business and they might not have a collection of testimonials for their new business. Think about, you may have come from employment, or you may have worked in this sector for a while. Anyone that you've worked with can be a testimonial, even if they weren't with this business. People you've worked with in the past doing this service, again, they could be a testimonial. Even your media contacts, they could be a testimonial. And really, this is so important. Your testimonial should really be probably the second or the third thing on your website. So your testimonial should either come in here or here. And the more the merrier. So an example on my website, I go whole hog in this, and I literally have hundreds of testimonials on a page. You may also want to consider video testimonials, can be quite powerful. People tend to just skim through them, but the fact that you've got a client to go on a video and do a review for you, that's a very hard thing to do. And if you've got that, then it shows that your clients really, really want to sing your praises. So I include video testimonials, and I would also include text testimonials. And what I tend to do is bold the highlights as well. So rather than bolding what you do, clients aren't going to care that you did a branding and marketing website. What they're going to say is the results were beyond expectation. They received compliments. They've captured the sense of direction. Your process was simple. All that kind of stuff is what customers want to see. You notice I have a huge number of testimonials. In fact, I've got over 80 5-star reviews on Google now, which for a business that has a low quantity of projects, I think is pretty impressive. The way I do that is not luck. I have a system that I use to get good reviews from clients almost every project. And I'm going to refer you to another article on my website. It's number 18. You'll find it under articles. A system to get good reviews every time. That is number 18 there. And essentially you can check this article out afterwards, but as I say, there's 2 types of reviews: quantitative text reviews, qualitative video reviews, and it's not luck. It's just about asking for them in the right way, at the right time, in the right format. Aside from testimonials, there are other things you can do to build trust. Accreditations would be a big one. You, again, I know you've been in the press. It is worth mentioning that. I myself have been mentioned online quite a lot as well. Put those logos of the press that you've been on the website as seen on. Again, it's not like people aren't going to work with you or not work with you because of where you've appeared online, but it's just about a snapshot judgment. People will see that and go, oh right, okay, he's worked with the BBC. That's a big, I know the BBC. That's a sign of trust. That's a tick box in their head. Again, I would suggest they should probably come in about here. Number 4, make it easy to buy from you. A lot of people are making it very difficult for clients to contact them, or to get in touch, or to figure out how they get started. So I would say that obviously, first of all, you've already got contact in the menu. That's fine, you'd expect that. And there's some buttons to contact you. It's a contact page, and then you've got your number and your email. That's fine. But you're actually introducing an extra step here that they don't need to do. So to contact you, I have to put the number into my phone and call it, or I have to copy your email address and email you, or I can click that and it's going to open my email browser, obviously. So it's not difficult, but it's just an extra bit of friction. And I always say, treat people on the internet like goldfish. They've got very short attention spans. You're basically got them on a knife edge on your website, and they're either going to contact you or they're not, and you just want to do everything you can to push them over to contact you. The rule of thumb, what I would always have on a website is a sticky button down the bottom right which says contact, and basically, ideally, depends on what your primary goal is in terms of contact. Like if you prefer a call, just have that button, be a tail link and open a call. But another good one is if your goal is to get them to contact you, email is a very weak way to sell. Quite a lot of stuff on my website about sales, so you can check that out under the sales section if you just type in sales. But email is a very poor way to sell. I would say it's the weakest way to sell. You're essentially having a text conversation with someone with no context or emotional or body language in it, and you're having a disruptive conversation over a 4 or 5 day period where they respond to you. It's like having a conversation by mail. It just doesn't work. So really what you should be trying to do is get people onto Zoom calls. I'm a very strong believer that selling people over a Zoom call or a Google Meet or whatever, a video call, is far more effective than email or phone. In person is actually the best format, but obviously not everyone can do in person if you do remote services. Ideally, your sticky button, that could open basically a Calendly that looks like this, which encourages them to book a call with you. And you'll notice that your Calendly can also be like a little mini sales pitch. So you'll see here in the sidebar, you've got another opportunity to sell people and convince them. And this just makes it super easy for people to buy from you. And this can actually link into your CRM as well. And again, if you're interested in a walkthrough on how to set up automated booking system, if you go to lifebydesign.online systems, you'll see that I have an article in here about, it's number 10, about setting up automated appointment booking systems. So there's a full guide in there as well. So that brings us to number 5. So this is the last one. So I would say number 5, this is more of a general one for everyone here, but I would say make it obvious would be my tip number 5 for increasing sales on your website, the conversions from your website. So again, the copy in here I would say is great. It's really nice and colourful and you've got a lot of personality in there, but you want to make it super obvious for people. What do you do? How do you help them? What are the FAQs? Address any common objections that people have. Now this doesn't necessarily have to be objections to what you say, it could be any concerns that they usually have about working with a cybersecurity company. For example, for your services, obviously you've said, we're a damn good security, but I don't see a mention anywhere that you're a cybersecurity. Like here obviously you can say it, but that's kind of hidden in the body text. So just make it super obvious. So you might want to change that to like damn good cybersecurity. I know it sounds like a little thing, but these are the things that just tweak making a difference. We're just shaving away until we've got a really high converting website, little bit by little bit. I really like this line. I think that could be expanded on to say, well, what's the result of that? Silver bullets are for werewolves. Based what you're saying here that I understand is that the prevention is better than the cure. So really you should probably elaborate that and just be like, silver bullets are for werewolves, damn good security is for businesses or something like that. Like just make it super obvious. And when it comes to your services, again, these are good. I can see that you offer 4 main services. It would be worth doing a thumbnail for each of those, or maybe like some kind of bento style box where you've got, well, what is your main one? Managed cybersecurity retainer. And then you might have another one that's like, professional consultancy, VCISO, awareness training. So you might want to have like a thumbnail with an image for each of those. And then ideally, in terms of SEO, each of those should lead to another individual page. Now, it's up to you whether you want to do that or not, whether you're bothered about SEO. But I would say generally every service should have its own page, just so that you're capturing what each person wants. So someone might want managed services but not the rest of it. The thing I would say is missing from this particular site would be process, how it works. So again, this might be different depending on the service, but ideally you want a section that's like, our process, book a call, identify the strategy, we implement, you don't need to do anything, whatever it is, but basically have some kind of like process of how the thing works so that they understand what they're getting into. Again, it's just about being clear. If someone doesn't understand how your service works, that is a major blocker to them contacting you or for them selling or buying from you, because people fear what they don't understand. They want it to be super obvious what they're getting. So the things you might want to put in there, you might even want to just do an FAQ section and say like, how do we charge? How does the billing work? What does what's the process? What happens if I have an emergency threat? Do you take calls on weekends? Anything that people might ask you, add it to your FAQ section. That's it for me. Just to summarise, the top 5 tips I would say is wasting the opportunity in the hero section, get rid of meaningless and flowery statements, call out who, why, what and how you're helping your clients, take my offer workshop if you want help figuring out who your ideal client is and how you help them. Build trust. Social trust is essential. You want to have accreditation logos, testimonials, media features, all this stuff should be on your homepage. Make it easy for people to buy from you. Sticky contact button, 1 click to book a call. Number 4, don't be a faceless business. People buy from people, so get your face on there. And number 5, make it obvious. So pre-address any sales objections or questions before they get on the call. That's key. You might want to have thumbnails for your key services. Put what your process is, how it works, FAQs. Basically anything that anyone asks you on the call, you should be putting in an FAQ on your website so that they answer it before they jump on a call. So hope that helps. If you want any further help with this, just give me a shout. There'll be a button up the top right of the video where you can book a call, or it might be in the comments, but you can certainly book a call with me if you want further help with this, and I hope that was helpful.